All right, welcome one and all to season 3, episode 7 of the Pot of Ages. This is probably going to be a short one, as Worlds is over. There are no pro games. It is the off season. For those of you that haven't heard, LCS will have 8 teams in season 14.
And that is 8, as in the number. Paulus count. But yeah, so we're losing Golden Guardians and Evil Geniuses and picking up nothing to replace them. There were some rumors about, I believe, Illuminosity wanting to buy EG's spot, but this was kind of apparently a pretty late notice call. So we have 10 less jobs in active players for the LCS, which I think if people had more of an idea that was going to happen earlier in the off season that never even really began yet, they probably would pick up some people. So we might see some mid-year shuffling just because of who's not employed.
Yeah, so Riot said it was a decision on, it was a mutual decision. But we can do some speculating. So all the teams would have had to have been offered the same buyout that those two teams were offered.
And allegedly, it was quite low in order to dissuade teams from wanting to take such an option.
Yeah, so I feel like Golden Guardians not wanting to invest anymore in their esports, and having heard some, I don't know if you listened to the Four Horsemen that came out the other day, but it had the former manager of Golden Guardians on there, so he was able to provide a lot of insight. And Golden Guardians having the huge backing of the Golden State Warriors, NBA, a very well-to-do NBA team, but they did a very frugal job of managing an esports team, and he said that they were probably in the bottom third of spending of the LCS teams.
I mean, I think that shows with their history.
But also, like, they were always top half.
Not always.
Not always, but
they ended top half.
Yeah, that they did pretty well for their spending. So it's not like Golden State Warriors was dumping a ton of money into Golden Guardians, but I just think with the viewership drop, the lack of sponsors that the LCS is maintaining, I think they just wanted to get the fuck out of there before it ends up becoming too much.
Yeah, I think they wanted to at least, obtain something on that initial investment. I mean, their history in the league has had a measure of success, but ultimately they were always a very low budget, not really caring org for the most part. They hit it pretty big in some of their first few years because they happened to import like Closer, and like he was really good, and that the team found success because they imported him. But obviously he came from Turkey, so it was a very cheap import. He just happened to be a good player. And then they went into a complete budget and a talent development team of people who barely cut it at the collegiate level, and ultimately ruined any chance of these people having a career, and then dropped them after 1 year, even though they tasked the entire thing and sold it under development, right?
Well, wasn't there that one roster they had where 4 of the members went over to 100 Thieves, and the 100 Thieves won that split?
Yeah, and that was one of the closer ones. And they just made a better team around their random 2 value players that they happened to pick up, right? And then the year that they went to finals was mostly when the league was awful, like some of the worst years at the LCS competitive level. And, at the end of the day, I do think this last year was a lot of great GMing because, again, they didn't spend a lot of money, and they did put together a team that was pretty competitive and dominant in the LCS until literally summer playoffs is when they fell apart. But this year was a pretty good success. So it's pretty amusing that this is the year they chose to opt out, especially when there are some measures of profit sharing being more obtainable for the LCS teams, and you could definitely build a team off of the profit sharing numbers that we've heard so far. Like 2 million a year from Riot is some of the numbers I've heard.
Yeah, you could build a roster. then staffing and lawyers and contracts.
Kind of break even though.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of teams are trying to do this year is make sure that they are breaking even, because the franchising is not going well. It's and rumors are that in the next few years, the LCS may turn into the what people are calling the Valorant model, which is where the teams are partners and not bought into, and their positions, and it is kind of like a mutual agreement. You share, and then you share the money, and I just think Riot is just with the LCS and League of Legends especially. It's just it feels overly greedy and also mismanaged like a motherfucker.
Well, they've definitely never cared about longevity in the sense of trying to build a model that would work for everybody involved. They want to be the lords of the castle for sure. They have never really released numbers around skin sales and all that stuff, but like we know that they make money. I think a lot of people are probably starting to understand how much money is made by some of these game studios that sell so much digital material, because this stuff requires far less manpower to create than real content, and you still sell it for like real sums of money, not $1.50. People are still shelling
I mean,
$20 out for all this shit.
I just bought a Belveth skin and it was it 12, like 10, $12? Like,
yep, I definitely know how that goes. I've definitely had a few years where I dropped a few 20 packs, into the old wallet, and you, at least now with things like passes and such, you can get a measure of good free content, but even that is stripped away from every year. So if Riot wants to have esports as a part of their model, they need to make sure that the teams that are invested in their esports can survive.
and that it's like the league itself is just needs better management, but like,
well, they've never really they had a commissioner for all of a year, and she's gone. So these are real things. Riot has to put on its big boy pants one of these days and stop acting like they're God and start passing out some of the pennies on the dollar they earned, because these teams can't survive.
And stop trying to do fucking just dumb things when there's like at least dozens and dozens of people like that are probably open to like running esports for Riot or running League of Legends for Riot, and on the esports side that have tons of experience and have been in the scene since the scene fucking existed and have seen the trials and tribulations and the missteps and the errors that have been made. And
well, control is definitely a thing for Riot, obviously, with how they operate everything. The removal of tournaments outside of their official league circuits in their entirety.
The teams and the players have no say in any decisions made in the league.
Correct. The PA has always been sort of just a joke. The Players Association is a meme.
It's not a real union.
Yeah. If you look at how the casters are treated, and how business is dealt with them, the fact that they have no real ability to negotiate for their rates and what that costs and all these things, like Riot doesn't want to give control to anything. And it's coming to a point finally that that's biting them in the ass. Like they needed to kind of start giving some money away when the getting was good if they wanted these teams to keep building up the infrastructure. But with the FTX deal falling through, and ultimately just the sheer amount of incompetence that has been allowed to enter the scene over the past 3 years because everyone's chasing dollars, it's just we finally caught up with it. It just is what it is. Good players were pushed out so people's friends could come play, and a lot of serious people just didn't want to play the cool kids game.
Yeah, which is why I can see why like at least like a league like the LPL is going to go strong for a long time.
Oh, they've got huge numbers behind the LPL for sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's a 17 I think 17 team region. I know it's more than 10. You know, I doubt that they're going to have less next year. Let me see exactly because I am curious if it is 17.
Well, while you're looking that up, there's no stranger that EG is just fucking fire selling everything. So they took the buyout as well because, speaking of mismanagement, the top of that org is
Somehow the Warren Buffett of esports couldn't save it. Must have been just a complete fire.
I mean, lawsuits out the wazoo, fucking just everything falling to shit. But while you're looking that up, the some of the
17.
speaking of teams, I'll just do that as the segue. We're looking at the rosters for next year. Let's start with the LCS because that is the shortest one.
Yeah.
The only incomplete roster looking like so far is Dignitas.
Mm-hmm.
Jensen is over to FlyQuest along with Bwipo, Inspired, Masu, and Busio. So
I'm definitely super pumped about this top side. That looks pretty money.
It really does. Shopify Rebellion,
the team coming in to replace TSM,
is Fake God, Bougie, Insanity, Biovi, and Zazel. I'm glad Zazel's back in the league.
I love me some Zazel. I really do, actually.
Team Liquid is looking pretty solid, as long as Eon is actually works as hard as MNS says he does. But Team Liquid was looking like Impact, T, Appa, Eon, and Core JJ. If Core JJ comes back to form, maybe having Impact on the team might motivate him.
I'm just definitely still probably making an account named Team Liquid Honda Core QQ.
Yeah, that's a great support.
That'll be the support account name.
100 Thieves, we're looking at Sniper in the top lane, River, Quid, Meech, and Ayla. As we were saying earlier, pretty much everybody is going budget this year. So, but River's pretty good. I'm not familiar with anybody else on the team except for Ayla, I believe.
Well, Sniper is Viper's little brother, and was like the 14-year-old challenger prodigy. I think it's great to see his progression into the LCS as a sort of a natural, inevitability. But ultimately, yeah, of all of the rosters that are going to be competing next year, there's not many that look entirely convincing on a real like world level. Like FlyQuest topside does look good, but this team's going to be highly hinged on how good Masu is. Luckily, I do think when we get to the conversation more, season 14 is going to be pretty solo lane heavy, I think, and Bwipo Jensen are definitely some of the top tier talent in those lanes in the entire league. So I expect this team should look better than last year and be pretty competitive. On that note, too, Impact with Liquid could be a great year for him, but I'm still worried about APA and Neon to carry this team the rest of the weight. Like, I don't know how much jungle is really going to matter. So could be completely serviceable with Core JJ. I think this will still be C9 the team to beat just because of their consistency and the strength in every single lane. Even if Fudge isn't great, an amazing player, he's still plenty good enough to be a good top laner in the LCS, especially when Licorice, Revenge don't have jobs. It's not really that surprising. I'm like, I don't know why this castle dude is here. I can't I don't know why Fake God was brought back. There's a lot of people that are, out there. Like Sunday's not playing.
Dude, Sunday's not playing. I'm so upset. I'm such a big Sunday fan.
So there's just a measure of talent out there in these solo lanes that I think like that matters. So maybe we'll see some mid-season changes and pickups. I think a lot of teams could probably benefit from hiring picking up some of these players who are not playing and just having somebody to light a fire under their top laner's ass if they need it.
Yeah, and we'll actually we'll talk about this later when we talk about some of the minor leagues briefly. But I am a believer of a 10-man roster, of a true 10-man roster.
Danny, is that you? I gotta know how much did Faker pay you to throw that draft for Weibo in Game 3? How much did the Bard lock-in cost? Send me the PayPal receipts, Danny.
God, I would love to be a coach someday. But we'll talk about that when we get into the when we talk about what some of the changes happening in the minor regions. But Cloud9 looking like the front runner right now, with Fudge Blabber, JoJo, Berserker, and Vulcan, basically running it back, but with an upgrade in the mid lane. And
there's literally nobody that could challenge Berserker in this league. Unless Dignitas pulls something impressive out, like FBI is as good as you get.
I mean, Insanity's ceiling can challenge JoJo, and Jensen can challenge JoJo, but other than that, Palafox has been improving consistently.
I think there's like the mid lane at least has some choices. Insanity had a pretty good season on a TSM that was not a good team, and they performed pretty well around him. Jensen is a good player. Palafox, I do believe, has shown that he can put it out there too. So like there are at least other people to watch to play against JoJo, and not be completely rolled over. But yeah, Berserker, Vulcan, like Tactical Ole, if Tactical remembers how to play the game, I actually do think Ole is a pretty good player. He's been
Ole's solid. I mean, our Armeo is solid.
Okay.
He does his job. He was Team Liquid's backup jungler for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I've just never been that impressed with Armeo.
He's not impressive.
Year, but
he's a worker.
He's like contracts with a lower ceiling and more consistent, a higher floor.
And I'm like, he's one of the people where I'm like, okay, he's one of those workhorses who does his job, but also I'm like, why the fuck do we not like if you're going budget, find an 18-year-old from fucking Challenger League who is fucking like good and bring him up.
Well,
like Armeo's been in the league for a long time, and he spent most of his time as a substitute. And now he's starting on even more budget Immortals.
Honestly, jungle is just a really weak pool in NA.
Dude,
like we don't have a lot of great junglers anymore.
There's talent out there, it's just not being fucking scouted.
I mean, there is some, yes, but like
there's talent out there, it's just not being scouted. It's like, so League of Legends players in North America on Summoner's Rift is at a low, along with LCS viewership. The two go hand in hand. The more people that play Summoner's Rift also probably watch pro games. But the amount of people that play Summoner's Rift is down.
I think the issue you're going to run into is that ultimately, like, there's like not a lot of people who have mentality and the skill. Like, you think about some of the best NA talents, even on streamers and such, about who plays well, and like, you're never going to actually put Tarzan on an LCS team. Like, the dude is just mentally unhinged. He can't play a team game. You don't get a
fucking streamer. Like, you don't put fucking Tyler 1 on a fucking LCS team.
But who are the best players in NA? Like you can go to the solo queue ladder right now, and I guarantee most people who are on the top are already on teams, or they're people that we know from streaming, and they're just unhinged. You know?
Yeah, but I mean, like there's the collegiate series. There's at least a half dozen amateur leagues where there's actual decent prize money.
Yeah, I
And
understand, but they have to be able to play against Inspired and Blabber.
okay, can Armeo play against
No,
Blabber and Inspired? Then what the fuck does it matter? Find someone
well, I'm
else
just saying,
who's
you
younger.
got to get 8 of them. You need 8 players of this
But I'm
level.
saying,
You can't just have, if there's only 3.
but my argument is find someone who's younger who hasn't already shown what they can do and bring them up and develop that talent, especially like like what would you have to pay an 18-year-old to play professional League of Legends?
Oh no, for sure, I agree with you. But the issue that a lot of teams are obviously running into is that for half of the league, they have had like that ship has sailed. They had the money to do these things in the past, but instead they probably blew it on paying people who weren't worth the money, so they could
Yeah,
take a year off
yeah,
on
no.
their team.
I mean, it's been said we're in the esports winter.
Mhm.
It is here. Winter was coming, and now winter has come, and it came all over the LCS for one thing.
Yeah,
Um,
it
and
really did.
and just to finish up the with LCS, NRG is running it back, but no Ignar, but they have Huhi.
Yep, Ignar returning to Europe, comically enough. But that
So
should be a good team, honestly. That should
I
be fine.
I think it's good. I like it.
Top 8 team guaranteed.
Guaranteed making playoffs. So real quick though, but before we do stop talking about the LCS, let's do some of my favorite things, which is speculating. I'm speculating it's going to be a single round robin into a double elimination playoffs.
I think that's fair because I do believe they probably want to go to the 3-season schedule the LEC is playing as well, and they obviously also do a single round robin into like their group stage thing. But I honestly hope that what we see is a shift to best of threes because you could do 2 best of threes in 2 days, or 2 best of threes a day for 2 days, and have every team play once because we only have 4 matches happening. So
Yeah,
if you did 2 a day, best of 3,
that's best case scenario. If
best case scenario.
if the LCS actually went to best of threes, and if that is some of the good that came out of this bullshit that Riot's pulling, I'm a bit more okay with it.
I think it'd be great just because
It would
that's what
be
the teams need.
it would be great. It would be great for viewership because one, instead of having, well, hear me out. Instead of having Cloud9 fans watch for one game, that game ends in 25 minutes. Now all the Cloud9 fans are done. You now have them watch for at least twice that amount.
I do agree. I think now that we're down to 8 teams, it could be good for your viewership. It definitely could not have worked when we still had 10 teams because you have too many.
I don't even know why they picked 10 in the fucking first place.
It's what it was. It's what it's always been, you know.
Yeah. But it's still just a dumb number. If you look at like
Dignitas versus Mortals.
if you look at doing fucking any bracket things or any sort of scheduling, you're like, okay, so we're gonna have 3 games, 4 games, or we're gonna have 5 games and 5 games. I don't know. 10 teams is dumb. Speaking of 10 teams, let's go over to the LEC.
LEC. All right, let's go to this. We are, as you promised, we're going to be talking about some minor regions. So let's talk about the LEC now that we're here. You know, these non-quarterfinals regions.
Didn't even make it out of Swiss. Like, what is this?
Can't even make it
region?
out of Swiss. Oof, that sucks, man. Hurts losing to NRG. Oof.
Yeah, let's start.
Right, anyway.
Let's start from the bottom then, and G2 is running it back.
Running it back, no reason not to.
Vitality has lost some power, gained some power. They lost Bo and Perks. They lost Upset
And Kaiser. And Upset.
But they got Karzi and Hillisang. They got Vithio
And Video. And
and
Douglas was
Yikes.
the player they brought in to replace Vo at the end when they couldn't understand why their carry jungler couldn't play Maokai and Sejuani and wasn't just playing the game condition how they wanted. So they put it on this kid. I like this team is just not going to be as good as it could have been last year. I know that the team exploded last year, but at least they have one season of showing what it could have been. You know, the roster should have been crazy. I think it's wild that Vitality and FlyQuest last year exploded as they did, but this team will be okay.
I like Karzi. He deserves and doesn't deserve Hillisang because Hillisang is that coin flip. So there will be times when he deserves Hillisang and Hillisang gives him a perfect engage. And then there's gonna be other times where Hillisang feeds Karzi's lane and then Karzi can't play anymore. So it feels bad.
I think this team, because Video and Photon have both shown such high ceilings, they could be pretty good on what I kind of foresee season 14 looking like, but the Douglas, Karzi, and Hillsong to me are too much question mark to really expect this team to be able to even hit like top 3.
And speaking of Bow and upset, they are over to Carmine Corp, which took Koi's spot.
No, Koi went back to being Rogue.
Okay.
They were Koi for 1 year, and then now they're Rogue again.
Makes sense.
Carmine Corp took not SK.
No, SK is still in it.
Whatever, some random ass team that no one cares about. I can't even remember anymore.
No, it's not Medlines. Okay. Whatever. But they got
Pick it out.
Cabo, Bo, Sakin, Upset, and Targamas.
And let us not forget Coach Yamato Cannon.
Oh, that's right. Yamato's coaching for Carmine. Okay. He's going to do fun things with Bo then. And Upset works really well in good conditions. And Yamato is probably my favorite person in esports next to Captain Flowers. I think it goes Captain Flowers, Yamato.
I had to put Yamato on top just because he's sexier. No, it's just, I'm sorry, Flowers, but it just is what it is.
For a white guy, Flowers is pretty good looking.
Yeah, but you know, Yamato.
I'm like a homeless pale Yamato.
Do you also have a brother that does bodybuilding and smells your food?
No, but I do have a cousin who does bodybuilding and owns his own gym.
All right, well, then, yeah, you're basically at home. We have Yamato at home. You're American Yamato kid.
Yamato at home. That's going to be the title of this podcast.
All right, great. I like it. We have Yamato at home.
So yeah, Carmine Corp looks very promising, especially with
dude, we are totally super budget Yamato and Dom. Like the worst form, just this is it right here. The most watered down version. Well, not watered down, but just the most like diluted in a way.
I don't even want to talk about every team in the LEC.
Yeah, I know.
I just did for the LCS just because it's at home. But let's talk about Heretics for a moment here. Because this is Perk's last fucking chance in my fucking mind.
He's got, I mean, he went to Korea and played well, and this is a serious roster. Like Flockhead is not a crazy high ceiling ADC, but like he's definitely plenty serviceable. And Perks, Yankos, Wonder. These are some of the best, storied players of the LEC. And Yankos was the best jungler last year. I don't care what anyone wants to.
Yankos is probably in my top 5 junglers of all time.
I mean, yeah, honestly, I think with how that weak that pool is ultimately internationally and such, Yankos is definitely.
If Yankos was on G2 this year, they would have made semis.
Oh, I mean, they would have definitely made it to quarters. But honestly, if Wonder was on G2, they could have also made it to quarters potentially. Wonder.
the top side was looking a little weak.
Wonder is a crazy good player. I'm excited for this team, and we get Peter Dunn.
Also, the name Heretics, like, dude, Heretic Astartes all day, baby.
Hey, that's right. That's right. Chaos reigns. But no, I think this is a good team. I honestly kind of think top 3 is going to be G2, Carmine, Heretics.
Yeah. Honorable mention, Niski is back in the league.
Oh yeah, he was on Mad Lions last year.
Was he?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's right. I didn't watch last year.
Yeah, for whatever reason, LEC fans don't think Niski is good. They don't like Niski. I don't understand that one. I think Niski is a fantastic
they fucking
player.
love Nemesis.
I mean, most people don't love Nemesis. A few people like Nemesis. He's a very polarizing person. Niski, though, is like, he's just a rock, I feel like you could build almost any successful LEC roster around him. He'll never perform to the potential of like caps or perks in at Worlds and such, but he's still just good. He's so solid and such a good team player.
And I wish he didn't stream in fucking French. Like I keep forgetting that he streams in French, and I'm like, oh, Niski's streaming, check it out, and then it's all wah wah wah, and I'm like, God damn it, I don't understand what he's saying.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, yeah, he's a good player. He's EU Doinby, a lot of respect to it. He's got a good personality too. Honestly,
he's got a great personality. That's why it's one of the reasons why I love him. He plays well, and he's a fun guy. LCK is not looking too complete yet, but we do have some big moves.
Some big rosters to talk about.
Gen G.
Mm-hmm.
Keen,
right.
Canyon, and
straight to the meat potatoes.
Straight in the meat potatoes. Keen, Canyon, Lehens, keeping Chovy and Pays. So Lehens gets a lot of flack and a lot of praise. I like him. He's a little like, I wish they would have kept the light.
I agree.
But that goes into the next talk of now.
Well, let's talk about this team for a second.
Okay.
Just because I do think that this team looks potentially poised to be crazy. Back in like the 2018, I want to say, is when Griffin and Damwon made their break onto the LCK, and they were like two flavors of what was going to be, the rising talents of Korean League of Legends. And you had the Canyon Showmaker duo of Damwon, nestled into this team that was Naguri, Ghost, and I think Beryl was on the team when they first came on too. And obviously that team was really good, but the wild card and the better team was Griffin, which was Doran, Tarzan, Chovy, Viper, and Lehens. And obviously everyone can understand how that team was so insane. And the only reason it got completely fucked is because the coach got in trouble for yelling at this top laner who was a completely useless sub, but his dad or something owned the team or some stuff, so he had like Lance Stroll energy, and he got to play at Worlds instead of Doran the entire time, and the team bombed out in quarters, and it was such a catastrophe.
I can try.
But this notion of like the Showmaker Canyon duo being the core of Damwon and forever, and then now pulling Canyon out and putting him with Chovy, to me is just like, this is like the X Factor energy, because you're now really mixing some of the best parts of what Griffin and Damwon were. I feel like the only other way you get in on this is to put Showmaker with Viper. If Damwon had picked up Viper, we would have had some, like, if Damwon had Viper the Light, I'd just cream. I don't know what I'd do with myself. That team would be insane. But I am super excited to see this Viper Delight bot line from Damwon as well.
Yeah. They got Viper and Delight. Azeka stayed. And then Peanut and Doran over from Gen G. So Doran's kind of the weak point of this lineup, but that bot lane though.
I mean, Doran can at least be he holds the line until it gets like until you get to like the highest level of comp, in my opinion. I think Doran is really good for LCK. He's not going to be the Zeus or Keen beater, but he will definitely hold the team together. If you know, the biggest question is Zeka can actually perform to a ceiling. I think that's the biggest question of Hanwha. But I'm excited for Viper to have like a bot laner, or at least a support that's hella good.
Yeah,
because the line was fire.
I'm pretty excited for that Viper to the light lane. It makes me feel things.
Oh yeah.
And then T1 is running it back.
They finally broke their finals losing streak, so they're going to see if they can have a final winning streak. Here we go. It's T1. I think it's the right call. You know, there's really no reason not to if the team wants and is willing to work together to stay together.
Yeah.
This could be reminiscent of 2019 G2, because those players also effectively did not get paid as much as they could have in order to stay together.
Now, KT Rolster now has Piosik, and they have Deft. Aiming went over to D+.
Yep. I believe Beryl is rumored to be going to support here, which would be, you know, Deft Beryl are a world title winning bot lane, so they've worked together. BDD is reliable, so he's definitely, and he had a good year on KT. It's a shame he didn't show much at Worlds. He definitely was the best mid laner in LCK, honestly. For a good portion of last year, he was at least a contestant for it. It was definitely him or Chovy, no questions. Piosik is
Chovy was one of the fucking best laners in the 3 games he lost. He was probably the best laner in the fucking in the bracket.
I mean, there's just a level of, you know, expectation versus delivery at Worlds, at least for Chovy, just because he is always generally heralded as like the best player or top 3 best players there. And for whatever reason, he kind of just leaves a bit to be desired in some of these crucial best of 5s. I think the last 2 games he played pretty poorly, if I remember correctly. But I have to go back and watch the series again.
If memory serves, his lanes were strong.
I think you're right. I remember he had a Kali lane that was crazy playing into Oriana, where he was actually up CS. I remember that part, at least. There was at least one.
Yeah, he was up like 30 CS at 14.
Yeah, it was not an acceptable number. It was unreasonable for a melee versus range matchup.
But yeah, KT Rolster, if they get Beryl and they lock in a solid top laner, that's also definitely. I think we're looking at those 4 teams for Worlds again.
Yeah, and then D+ is the only other contestant I would say to rear its head with the King, Lucid, Showmaker, Aiming, and Kellen. I mean, I think Aiming was pretty good last year. I just don't. And Lucid, though, is my understanding, I believe he's an amateur talent, so we'll have to see what he's capable of. Otherwise, Kellen and Kingen are not players I have a metric shit ton of faith in, especially after watching Kellen at Worlds. He was a dirty enter. So Showmaker might be getting Elo held again, and Hanwha might be able to clutch out. I think expecting potentially T1, Genji, Hanwha, and KT to be your top 4 wouldn't be unreasonable for sure.
And then another Korean that made a move is Summit is going to South America. Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide. Luckily, he's going to LLA, so he can learn Spanish. Doesn't have to learn Portuguese. So I'm pretty sure the LLA is the Latin American League, not the Brazilian League. What is the name?
So he's going to Mexico. He's not even going to South America. He's still staying in North America.
He's going to go play with Jose Diodo, dude. Honestly, if he got on a team with Jose Diallo, I think
That's actually not a bad. That's actually not. That's not pretty. That's not too bad there.
See ya, Worlds, man. LOL. I mean, he better go to Worlds. He's coming. Oh man, Summit has made incredible series of moves, starting in South Korea, then going to NA, then going to China, back to NA in South America. Wow, man. Definitely traveling.
Dude likes to see the world. What can we say?
Likes to get paid to hang out.
So those are the roster moves and changes to the major leagues that we have news of right now. So have you heard the news? I don't remember if I mentioned this last week, but the NA Challengers League is going to Fearless Draft.
Excited for that.
And rumor is some ERLs also might be going to Fearless Draft.
I think Fearless Draft would be a cool adaptation to see in some level of competition, just because maybe it'll force teams to become good at more than 2 champions, just in the sense of actually expanding their mindset to be looking outside of the norm. Because
I would love to coach a team that has to do Fearless Draft and just work with these kids to get them because of the saying I've heard for as far as league, because it's like 100 hours makes you experienced, 10,000 hours makes you a master.
Oh man, I wonder how many hours I've got in this game.
So it's as far as my understanding with league is, it's 50 games makes you experienced with a champion, 500 games makes you a master of that champion. I mean, not necessarily, because I play in fucking silver, so I've seen the 8 million mastery point Teemo that just runs it down.
Got 11 days and 6 hours in 2020. That's the only one who can tell me.
But yeah, I think it's really good for minor leagues to have Fearless Draft, so that it forces, like, you don't get like a one trick that comes through and is just like, this guy is crazy, he's stomping everybody, and he has a champion pool of 3 and that's all he can play.
I think it's honestly the biggest thing is just going to be on the coaching and the approach to the game. I think that's what's going to be most important about it.
So the feedback I've heard is that the coaches fucking hate it, and it's like, of course it's more work. Of course they hate it. They think it's a bad idea. It's more work. I would love to. So if you hear this and your coach quit, but I've heard that it's mixed from the players. Some players are really excited about it, and I guess those are the players that really want to keep the game interesting and show what they can do. And then if a player is negative about it, that player has a dog pool and
just don't want to work.
Yeah. But I think it's great to weed out those that don't want to work. And I think it's already, if it's going to show in the coaching staff first.
I think it'll be great to do for the start on this, is you can, start honing the skill and these different approaches to the game. And then once maybe Riot wants to start playing with the fact that they have 2 open slots in LCS, maybe do some rotational situations, depending, they're drawing from whatever leagues they want. I think there's a lot of options on that. I know we've had conversations with Offstream about that, but watching a random challenger team come in and just kick the crap out of like bottom feeder LCS teams because their draft dynamics are so much better would be great. I think that's what the league needs.
I think drafting at a high level is my favorite part of League of Legends. Like what T1 did at Worlds, where they changed the meta, and then they didn't even play that meta in the fucking finals.
Did I tell you about the time that I got into an argument with a pro gamer dude who was a pro in League in season 1. He played on Against All Authority, which was the team SOAS and Reckless made it big on. It was before their time, but he played on this team for like 8 months, and he got into an argument with me on Reddit over the RNG SKT final at MSI because like I was berating the Jin Yumi as one would in that situation. And this dude, from the perspective of a pro gamer who cited himself as, like a coach in the scene, who like, oh, I do live views and I am fucking knowledgeable, told me that draft doesn't mean anything at that level and the champions mean nothing. And the only reason why Team A beat Team B was because of blue side. And like there's just this notion that because like Gwen was really strong in this matchup, that there was no other champion to play, and like, oh, I can't believe you're actually dogging on the Jin Yumi as if the champions being played mattered. And it's just like, man, I can't believe somebody like you can exist in the space for 10 fucking years. And obviously he has no following, he doesn't have a real job in the space anymore. But like the fact that you can even be adjacent in the space for that long with such dog shit takes like that, oh my god, this team must suck.
You know what's pretty bad is that's not an uncommon take at that level either. There are people who are strategic coaches, analysts, coaches, assistant coaches, head coaches, managers of teams that believe that the draft doesn't matter.
And then on the flip side, you have coaches like Mac at Mad Lions getting fired from his team because El Yoyo wants a Spanish.
Dude, the fact that like Mac jobless right now.
Yes,
that's a fucking disgrace.
Unless one of the other, let me check Twitter. Maybe another fucking team picked him up because God, they should have. That dude made literally the top 3 finishing LEC team for like 5 years in a row. A lot of the times with like a pretty crazy budget, like rosters that no one would have expected.
Yeah, and doing it with making his players comfortable and making them work. Like, make your players comfortable and then make them work until they're uncomfortable and then make them comfortable again.
Yeah, no, I couldn't believe that they actually let this dude go. Like, I would never, ever let a coach of this caliber leave. No, yeah, he's still listed as head coach of Mad Lions on his Twitter. So, yeah, it looks like he might be just McDonaldson.
That's a fucking travesty, dude.
Just had a child.
I fucking love this game. I'm addicted to this goddamn game, and the state of the fucking scene at the highest level is a fucking travesty.
I mean, at least half of the LCK still looks good. It's hard to get an idea of what's happening in the LPL right now. But the LEC looks honestly pretty weak. I think the overall level looks weaker than last year, and last year's level was pretty bad since Vitality and Excel both exploded and were not the levels they should have been. Like this is, I mean, like Trimby is not getting picked back up out of the freaking LEC. You have so many actually good players. Crowny isn't getting back out. Like, I don't know, man. There's some weird choices being made just so people can have more, national teams or pick up some random Korean talent that they think they can develop great. I do think you can see some rhyme and reason to rosters like Heretics and Carmine Corp. I even think Vitality the approach is fine, even though I'm just not as confident in all the pieces. But what is SK Gaming? Like that's a budget roster, but they're at least upgrading. I don't know if the Mark Hoon move was the move. I don't know this Isma guy, but I always thought Mark Hoon was actually good. So
yeah, I don't want to talk about the LEC.
Yeah, we don't talk about minor regions that much here, so we should probably.
But so you remember earlier how I said I'm a fan of a 10-man roster?
Mm-hmm.
If for some reason, Fearless Draft rose its way up, and major regions and worlds and international, like Fearless Draft became the normal in best of series. That's where 10-man rosters really come in handy.
I mean, yeah, to a degree for sure.
Because you're like, oh no,
our styles,
our weak side top laner has been picked out. There's no more champions he can play. Let's sub in our support jungler and our carry top laner.
We'll see if we have anything but support junglers and carry top laners at 14, you know. But how strong solo lanes are going to be compared to the rest of the map?
I mean, this could. I mean, if it's the rise of the fucking solo lanes, you could see the fucking Jhin being a fucking meta pick then as well.
Also gross.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Ashe, but I think I don't know what so this is a great segue into season 14. The map has changed for those of you living under a fucking rock.
Items are changing.
Items are changing. Mythics are gone. Mid lane is the river bush is wider and further back from the lane. So mid lane itself is a wider lane now. A lot more room to move around in. The top lane and bottom lane river bush that was at the lane entrances on either side is now a middle pixel bush, which I believe, looking at the video, a ward should reach all the way should reach every wall.
It should.
Top lane has become more of an island. They've taken away the tri-bush on red side and made it a giant wall. Huge wall.
Yeah, they made more symmetrical.
And then they made top lane more symmetrical. They made bottom lane more symmetrical. So now there is an entrance just on the inside of the of both turrets in the middle of the lane.
But they've also added those void mites, a new neutral objective in the Baron pit that'll be spawning pretty early in the game. And
I believe it's same time as Dragon, 5 minutes.
Yeah, and those things give push buffs for while plates are up.
No, permanent. No, it's on towers.
Yeah. But like you get that buff while plates are up.
Yeah,
you will not be able to get a hero.
It is a stacking damage over time to towers. So it is very like the later the game goes, the worse that becomes.
Yeah, and it's going to be something to actually skirmish for. I don't think top lane is going to be so much an island anymore. I think top lane will be pretty. Top
lane will have something to play for at 5 minutes. It'll really like split the map, so it makes like both sides have something to fight for. And so you could see more split map junglers. But good news is to all you Bel'Veth players out there, because I have become a Bel'Veth one trick, is the second void grubs gives you a coral.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they took away the first Rift Herald, so that would have been a direct nerf to Bel'Veth.
Oh yeah, but the changes to the map are direct nerfs to Rengar. And they definitely don't care. You know what I'm saying?
He's definitely going to be a top laner.
I think. Yeah, I mean, he's a really good top laner.
Let's see it, Blippo.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's the one to pull it out. Sadly, there's no more Gorge Ranker. We'll see the items, but I even think like the Sundered item will work fine for him. So it'll be enough of the same things. I think you'll have a decent value for assassins if tanks are strong, because tanks will obviously want to protect ADs. Oh, excuse me. And if ADs are very strong as a key points of how the team operates, does damage, then assassins will also be high value. The item's definitely good enough to make it work.
Yeah, and stopwatch is gone.
Mm-hmm. Huge change.
Huge change. So now only mages get stopwatch, but it costs like 1,600 gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's just part of the Seeker's Arm Guard now.
Yeah.
Which I think is a pretty cool change.
Yeah, I like it. I think that not tying in stopwatch to GA is decent. Making a stopwatch cost 1,600 gold for mages and AP builders. It's a lot. I think it's pretty healthy.
Yep. And it also makes the arm guard more valuable. As a pickup, because it still has the armor, and then the stacking has been removed, it looks like, unless they just haven't listed it here.
It's been removed. Mage items are looking a little OP.
Some of them definitely look pretty strong, and plenty of them look pretty cheap. Honestly.
So Cosmic Drive giving not Cosmic Drive, Horizon Focus giving the area reveal when you hit a champion. I think is pretty fucking strong. There's just a lot of items like them, especially with no mythics, and you can just get these passives like burst mages are going to be really strong, I think, but then also like the tank items are looking pretty strong. So it's balanced out in that way, but the fighters items are feeling like there's something lacking.
Yeah, I think that's not too surprising since fighters have been so strong the past 2 years. But yeah, for real, man, every single mage item, except for Shadow Flame, is 3,000 gold or less. Like that's pretty good.
Phantom Dancer got
2700.
got a pretty big nerf.
I think this Profane Hydra looks crazy. The fact that bringing the Brutalizer back is great. Like it's
The
gonna be
Lethality
awful,
Hydra item.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That thing looks pretty crazy.
that's why I'm practicing some Kazakhs right now, because give me some clear speed on that champ. You saw my tragic ass game the other day I had on Kazakhs. Still new with him. I've been carrying my ass off on Belveth though.
Yeah.
So I'm actually excited to build Terminus on Belveth.
I'm trying to find the. All right, the Nitro Hex Aegis was this one. Attack speed, yeah. After casting your ultimate, you gain 35% attack speed and 5% bonus move speed for 7 seconds. Apparently, this is really popular on Zeri.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that.
Titanic Hydra.
They're also calling it the Nocturne item.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of champs that could love this. Olaf. Plenty of champions. And then the Sundered Sky is the new Divine Sunder.
Yeah, which
but no more Sheen proc.
No more Sheen proc, and the fact that it heals you on like it's the first attack and it heals you. I'm like, as like, I might build it on Belveth just because like coming from it, like if I'm going into a gank, probably not going to be full health.
This is something I would buy on back.
Oh, you cut out.
I said this is something I would buy on Triforce Nautilus if that build is back.
Because it gives is that the one that gives a slow too?
No, it's just the health. I just in my mind it plays nicely with his passive. You know, root somebody, heal a little bit. Root somebody, heal a little bit.
Yeah. Plus 8% missing. 8% of missing health.
Triforce Nautilus is so much fun.
Nitro Hex Aegis. T-Mat's got his active back, so attack resets. Hullbreaker is no longer I am a side laning god, leave me alone. No longer will your team ping Hullbreaker when you're fucking going to gank them. Still looks like a strong item though.
Yeah, it's definitely still the split pushing
especially
item, but
well, especially because it says attacking enemy champion or epic monster.
So you can buy it on junglers now without it being completely grief.
Yep. Stridebreaker no longer deals damage with its active.
Well, actually, honestly, the epic monster thing is just awesome because once you take Baron, you can get that thing fully stacked and then just walk it out. Go immediately to a tower and just hit it for 400% bonus damage. It's pretty nice, and you still get the allied siege and super minions bonus MR and armor.
Wits End gives tenacity now.
And they changed Spear of Shojin, so you still gain
a decent ability haste.
But your spells will hit and grant stacks for max of 3 and deal more damage based on stacks. So it's just a bonus damage.
Yeah, I'm definitely
still
doing
kind of a fast caster.
I'm definitely going to be trying out. So I haven't been liking Bruiser Belveth, like what all the pros have been building with like Stridebreaker first and into the fuck's that axe? Why am I blanking on this right now?
The
Black Cleaver.
Black Cleaver.
And it's okay, but you don't. It's not like it's. I don't think it's the best way to play that champion.
I mean, it just depends on what you feel like you need. You know, it's just a lot of HP for good gold value.
Yeah. And you're like you use your Qs and stuff, but like in my elo where like I can't rely on my team to do damage. I'm doing basically full on hit into Bruiser. But with the Hullbreaker and the Spear of Shojin and the Sundered Sky, I think I might have a new build path.
I think Hex Aegis Spear of Shojin. Because the Hex Aegis, if the cooldown is short enough and you get your ultimate back to back, getting that movement speed buff in between each one sounds pretty metal. And that's attack speed, HP, damage.
Yeah, also Terminus looks really good. Like as an on-hit enjoyer when I played ADC, Terminus looks pretty fucking good.
I think for my Bruiser Belveth build, Hex Aegis, Spear of Shojin, Titanic Hydra, and a Sterix Gauge sounds sweet.
And
that would do it.
Support items have changed. You don't get the choice in the beginning anymore. You get the choice later. So yeah, those are all the changes. Roughly, items changed, maps changed. Meta is going to be fun and interesting to watch for competitive play. In solo queue, it's going to be a fucking shit show for the first 6 months.
Well, you know, people can't read, so they won't be able to figure out anything for themselves until someone tells them what's good and how to play it. They'll all just be feeding.
Yep. So starting next week, we should start doing updates on our solo queue. I currently have a 56% win rate on Belveth this season, so that even includes my shit games when I was learning the champion.
I think I've still only played 31-ish games of solo queue for this year, or not this year, the split, as they call it. Let me see what the number is. Yeah, 31.
So yeah, in I think my Xin Zhao is, for the past week, I have 100% win rate on Xin Zhao in ranked.
I've only played one champion more than 3 times in ranked, and that's Nautilus.
In play Nautilus mid, I'll play Bel'Veth. We'll win.
Yeah, I mean, I could do the not mid. That's doable, but I feel like he has mid lane's gonna get too much resources. You play something that scales better.
Also, mages are going to be fucking OP. Never mind. Play Vex. You had a baller Vex game the other day.
You play Vex, play Orianna, just play basic stuff that's strong.
Yeah, Syndra is going to be a fucking nuke. But if tanks become a thing, then don't play Syndra.
Yeah, I like the Orianna idea better. She's kind of weird to play, but not that bad. The Vex game would just felt free. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you were hitting every fear, man.
They just ran it down on me. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Emerald set mains.
My last 4 games, the 4 games I played today. I guess I played one this morning. So the 5 games I played today on Bel'Veth. My last one, I was 1-5. We FF'd at 15. I completely shut out their jungler, and then somehow he caught back up with getting a couple of ganks in there as well, even though once again, it was a level 4 to level 2 situation. But also I learned that Bel'Veth cannot duel a Mumu.
Yeah, that's honestly not too surprising.
After level 3, I cannot duel a Mumu. So
imagine if he buys Bombies first, or he went
Demonic Embrace first.
So he probably bought Giant's Belt first. And yeah, honestly, if you don't have the items to get through the HP, he does percent HP and does increased magic damage after he autos you. I can believe it.
Yeah, I was sitting there just I guess I didn't know how his kit worked very well. And I was just in there I'm like standing and delivering, and the next thing I know, like my health is just dropping, and I'm like, okay, well, we learned.
I really appreciated the time whenever you could solo Baron with a move at level 20 if you had Demonic Embrace and a Sunfire Cape. It was very balanced. But I'm sure we will catch much more updates pretty shortly. I mean, they haven't really been committed to the full item list yet, right?
That's all the items. Values are not 100%. Values may change based on balance, but I'm pretty sure the passives are pretty much what they're going to be. Just some numbers might change a little bit. But just looking at those, just looking at the items, mages are going to be pretty strong, but so are tanks.
Yeah, and I definitely think tanks are going to be a big part of this meta for sure. Especially coming out of the jungle.
Which, if you want to play a carry mid laner, I'll play a tank in the jungle. Otherwise, I won't play a tank in the jungle. I've done it before because I'm like, I'll trust my team.
No. There's plenty of carries that have utility at this point, and as long as you play something that can team fight well and offers a tool, I think playing carries is fine. Yeah.
Bel'Veth's gonna knock up.
Still good. Yep, still good.
Still good. But the game before that, I went 25, 7, and 14 with a quadra, almost a penta. I did 60,000 damage. Next closest was 38, my ADC. Their jungler was an ace on their team. It was a Sejuani, but I kept dodging her whip with my Q. Like a boss. Feels good. Game before that was 14-0-4 with a triple.
I think. That's right. That was the game against the Vi.
Yes, that was the game against the Vi. Where that game,
my God.
I just snowballed the shit out of that game.
Dude, people just literally don't understand anything about jungle sometimes. Clearly.
So if any of you are a Vi player or interested in playing Vi, do not start Q unless you're you're going to hit it and get the kill at level 1. But against I dodged the Q. Game's over from there. Team was there for the invade. GG. Game
If you're
before
a jungler, don't skip your third camp for level 3 until 4 minutes. So I'll say that. Your spells are OP.
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, like Vi's clear if she doesn't have W start, is pretty bad.
Jungle pet clears for you 80% of it anyway. The champion is almost irrelevant.
I've done a Q start with Vi by accident because I was like, oh, we're gonna get the kill, and then I'm like, okay, I started Q. I have to start my Raptors now. It is so slow even with the pet, so slow. Game before that was tragic as fuck. I did the most damage on my team at 30,000 damage. I went 16, 9, and 8. It was tragic, but I've been winning a lot on Bel'Veth, so I'm really excited to keep it rolling.
Yeah, I don't know. I think everything is still just meh. I don't like how the 80 or the jungle pace is compared to the rest of the game anymore. It's just so slow, and if your team is just bad, you just lose. You have even less agency to stop that from happening, because if you miss camps in order to stop your team from losing the game at 5 minutes, then you just fall even further behind the rest of the game, especially if you don't get anything for that play. So it just means you have to be super greedy and only have to plays that feel really confidently confirmed, and then your team just loses you the game in 10 minutes because there's no play that you can walk to that feels good.
Dude, that's what I'm with Bel'Veth. I will power farm until somebody's pushed in. Let's go for it. If we can get a flash, we can get a flash. I take a couple lane minions if we don't get a kill.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on the state of the game.
But I think that jungles that can farm very fast but can also make plays are the
back to Hecarim and Udyr. Here we go. We all know how it is.
I really need to put Hecarim into my belt. I can.
No, you don't. I mean, if you want, I think if anyone ever asks me who is the most elo inflating champion in the game, I will answer Hecarim every single time. I know plenty of Hecarim one tricks. I'm not talking about Doan or saying any of this nonsense. I think Hecarim is the elo inflating champion in the game. He is nuts. When you understand his min maxing and shit, he just fucking runs. He literally runs you over.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I'm trying to get out of my fucking bullshit so I can play fucking other things, because I enjoy playing tanks and enabling my team. I enjoy it
that's what I play support for.
I like to be able to throw a Sejuani R out and then fucking dash forward, and my team has the damage to follow up on the pick instead of hitting B while I'm ganking for them.
Yeah, no, it's just that becomes the issue, especially when things feel lopsided, and that's when the game just feels bad. I don't know if I'm just in punishment queue, and that's what Riot does it to me. It goes, all right, here's the bunch of monkeys, and here is a platinum 4-man pre-made. Whoop. Enjoy your normal.
I guess not playing normal. Just if you're playing normal, it's to learn a new champion, and then you fucking play ranked. The games are worlds better in ranked than in norms. The norms, no, I've been playing a lot of ranked, and I go into a fucking norms, dude, and it is the most chaotic. Not the macro and everything, but at least the team comps generally make sense. There's people playing champions that they're at least comfortable on.
I would have agreed with you until last year. I would say until last year, I thought that the rank queue was generally not as terrible as I always heard. But then I literally played 30 games where maybe 5 of them felt like it was an actual game anyone on my team was trying it. And I was like, all right, cool, I'm just not playing this anymore because
We're,
like I
we
don't
are
how do you
in.
play the game if two of your lanes are getting just completely decimated, 50 CS down in 15 minutes, and then one person is just kind of doing okay because they're 1-3, and you're like, I literally have a game replay that I have one play from, and in this replay I am like 3-0-2, and my team is like 18-7 score, and it's like 12 minutes. Like and that was what my entire like year last year was of games, and I was like, I'm not going to grind through this when the game quality is this bad and this lopsided. And in this year, I just feel like because of how they've destroyed the MMR disparity, your games are even worse on as far as like the skill gap that's possible in one league. Like I had 10 division difference in my like in one game. That's huge. 10 divisions in
That's
one ranked
enormous.
game.
The 10 division.
No, that was a ranked game.
That was a ranked game.
That was a ranked game. It was Silver 1 to Emerald 4 were the players in that game because I was Silver 1 going to Gold, and I was playing against an Emerald 4 support. That was my ranked game. It was me, Silver 1, with a Gold 2, a Gold 1, a Plat 4, a Plat 4, into P3, Emerald 4, Gold 2, Gold 2, Gold 4. That was a ranked game.
Oh shit!
I was just like, holy fuck, this MMR is screwed.
I want to buy.
It's like I know that I'm high goldish MMR right now, just in general. That's where my like OBGG average shows like Gold 2, Gold 1. So to get an Emerald 4 player in that game, I was just like, man, ugh.
Well, anybody
Spicy.
can get Emerald Gold or Emerald 4.
I agree. Until you push into Diamond, you're just riding waves.
It's one big clusterfuck. I've seen people in Iron that have fucking insane mechanics in zero macro sense. And then I've also seen people who have no fucking micro, but know how to position themselves on the fucking map. And
I will say that I've not seen anyone in Iron that know how to press buttons. I do believe by the time like Bronze 3 players, I have seen them play okay. Every Iron player I see plays like you'd expect an Iron player to. But
I did have a booster in my game the other day. They were a ADC main for the longest time with like a 30% win rate. And then they've won like their past like 15 games mid lane.
Yeah.
Like smashing, like not even close. Like
Flash is on the other button. Let's go. That's always my favorite tells whenever they don't bother to play Flash on the right key. Have this spring of games where Flash is on F instead of D, and then they go back to their other role, and the Suns are switched back. All right, folks, we've definitely done a fair share for this evening. We'll definitely, I'm sure when we get together next week, we'll probably have hopefully some more speculation to talk about them. Like maybe we'll have some more PvE data or something that we talk about. It's going to be a little bit of whispers and murmurings until we get a bit closer to the leagues, but we have a shorter downtime than usual with Worlds ending so late, so it shouldn't take long, at least, before we get into the real stuff. And then it'll be on to maybe, what do you think, maybe one more episode before Season 4? Maybe 2?
let's meet up. Let's just meet up weekly and talk about our solo queue games for the week.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll definitely
what we've done to improve our play and raise our rank.
Well, I better go make old Team Liquid Honda Core QQ. And we'll be checking in with you guys next time on the Pod of Ages. I'm Paradox Pope. This is Doomfunk. Follow us on Twitter. Don't forget his is Doomfunky. And we'll catch you next week.